All right, it's Daybreak on Rise News, and it's time for the press preview. First look at what's on the front pages of the papers, and then we're starting with this day. Scores feared kidnapped in terrorist daredevil raid on Kaduna train. That story has about how many riders? It has about 6 riders. Let me just take them one by one. Just give me a moment there. Yeah, it has about 6 riders. Survivors speak of their ordeal, say they saw hell, prayed and prayed. Buhari, no one will hold us to ransom. Orders military to be ruthless with terrorists. Amechi confirms 8 dead, 41 hospitalized, 362 passengers on board. And then TUC, NMA, MBA, MBTE suffer casualties. Bank of Agriculture, MB Hassan, his niece, others still missing. Life is near worthless under APC. That's what APC president says. That's what the PDP is saying, by the way. Then just below that picture where the vice president is commiserating with those injured who are in hospital. Constitution review. National Assembly transmits 44 bills to states. Find that on page 5. And then, of course, let's go to other papers. We might look at some of the news in front of the doorstep, but let's get to some other papers.
If we move on to the Punch, it has a very similar cover in terms of the picture. The pictures that we see, obviously, we've got the vice president in there meeting people who have been injured in that Kaduna train attack there. It is quite disappointing to know that the state of security continues to deteriorate to this level. To the bottom of the page there, though, while the Kaduna-Abuja train attack dominates the front page of the Punch, there's still political talk there too. Kwankwaso resigns for the PDP and cites a disagreement and joins the NNPP, which we discussed earlier on in the show. Seems as though he seems to find a home at a political party wherever he decides to lay his fila, but it's okay. Moving on to the bottom there, I will not bow to the APC's intimidation, declares Isom Wike, who has also recently made his presidential ambitions clear. Despite denying them for quite some time, he's finally come out to say he will, or he has intentions rather. Shall we move on?
Yeah, The Nation newspaper leading with the harrowing tale. 8 dead, 41 injured, many still missing in train attack. We are distressed by train attack, and that's according to Northern Governors. Tinubu says he cannot celebrate when people are mourning. He's cancelled his 70th birthday colloquium it was supposed to hold yesterday. 2023 PDP groups clash over zoning, and Rabiu Kwankwaso, the former governor of the Northwestern Kano State, dumps PDP.
Well, The Guardian also has a similar story of what they call shock as terrorists launch another train attack in 24 hours with about 6 riders. I will not take a lot of them, but let me see the ones I can take. Buhari to serve his chiefs, be more decisive. Don't spare anyone unlawfully wielding AK-47 rifles. Amechi government's slow procurement process led to loss of lives on Abuja-Kaduna train. Oshibajo cancels Lagos trip. I mean, even the Lagos trip was even cancelled by former state governor Bola Tinubu. Visits Kaduna to condole with victims. Tinubu calls off here. I just said that now. And then NMA mourns Chinelo decries worsening insecurity. Senators blame failure of government for new dimensions of terrorism, and Northern senators charge security agencies to up their game. That's for The Guardian, Nigeria Guardian.
I mean, in terms of our Nigerian papers, that seems to be it, but we do have covers from UK and other international outfits. So if we look at the Times, for example, you've got the Queen there with her second eldest son attending the memorial service, or is this a service of thanksgiving rather, for the life of the Duke of Edinburgh, who died at age 99 last year. Also there on the cover, Russians promise to ease the Kyiv onslaught. Britain and US cast doubt on Putin's intentions. Seems as though they're not taking Russia at their word. And I mean, the situation is quite stark there. I can't understand how difficult it would be to take Russia at their word when it comes to saying that they may retreat, because that's obviously not what we're seeing on ground, especially if we listen to reports from civilians who are still in various places in Ukraine.
We're hoping they'll keep their word.
Exactly, we are hoping so. Finally, secrecy for number 10 staff given party fines for breaching or the flouting of COVID rules. I mean, many people would welcome these fines because it does show that rules were actually broken despite an effort to kind of sweep it under the rug. It is a little disappointing, though, to hear that there's a level of secrecy, so you can't really attach names and identities to these fines. Hoping that that won't be the case, because it would, I think, if we are fining politicians in elective positions for breaking COVID rules, it's not so much a name and shame, but it's also about responsibility and accountability. And I imagine that if you are a constituent in an area where your MP was involved in breaking COVID rules that apply to everybody, you'd want to know the type of person you had elected to lead you.
Let's a quick look at the Independent. Russia pledges to reduce attacks around Kiev, and Russia-Ukraine peace talks boost global market sentiment.
All right, the next paper is, let me take The Guardian, that is international, foreign. Law breaking in number 10. Police issue first 20 Partygate fines. Well, the Femi was talking about it earlier there. What happens to Boris Johnson, who attended the party? All right, Andrew giving key role at Queen's tribute to Philip. All right, then I-paper is remaining before we go to Emmanuel Bello.
We've got, do we go to Emmanuel? We will. Is Emmanuel ready for us? Lovely. Good morning to you, Emmanuel. I mean, a lot of stories for us to go through there. If we start with our Nigerian dailies, of course, the fallout, the humanitarian fallout as it pertains to the Kaduna Abuja train attack continues. We've seen the Vice President has gone to visit people who are recovering in hospitals. But as we know, it does sound as though there's a vast amount of people who have been taken as hostages. Have we heard anything as it pertains to these terrorists or the people who are still missing at this point?
No, but what we're hearing and what we're learning is what we're reading this morning in the This Day report, and as a matter of fact, in all the dailies, carrying this harrowing story of what's going, the human angle to it. More facts, I imagine, more people are talking about what's happened to them during those attacks, and the more you read these stories, the more you get you are perplexed. The more you're sometimes almost at the point of despair, because those it could have been any one of us. I've been on those trips myself, and the dangerous time as late as those times that those attacks that happened, I've been on those trains myself, and you just put yourself in the faces and the stories of these people, because this is just beyond figures. These are harrowing tales of people. And yes, you're right, Femi. We should be worried about what has happened to those who be kidnapped now. What are the calls for ransom, and what is everybody doing? But what we're also getting from this story, we're getting a sense of the disconnect between the Ministry of Transport and the presidency, and that is very important. I think that's very profound. It's very, astonishing that the Minister of Transport is coming out clearly to say this could have been averted if there was any serious leadership in place. He spoke about how he's made requests for drones, for certain surveillance cameras and all of that. And he was very clear about what he just said. And I think that is a damning report from the Minister of Transport. Someone needs to echo that up, and I'm grateful that the This Day report brought that that out in very bold relief. Some other people did the same thing, saying, look, the minister is saying that this could have been averted if only those cameras were bought, if those equipment were bought. As they go into congressional hearing about this, because the House of Assembly, House of Reps and the Senate will be calling out, this is an area I think they should be able to zero on. If those places were not safe, if this could have been averted, why was something not done before now? These are the sort of stories, the kind of questions and the kind of answers Nigeria will be seeking. And then, of course, the president too saying that, look, he's implementing the integrated security surveillance system, as he called it. Why did they have to delay till now? Do you have to wait for this sort of crisis? We know the whole world is, where this crisis are everywhere in the world. Everybody is worried. That's why nations, very serious nations and very serious leadership all over the world are one step ahead of the bad guys, doing everything in their powers to ensure that, look, they preempt through intelligence reports and all of that, using modern technology to avert some of these disasters. So these are the questions on the minds of many Nigerians, and of course, no one is feeling safe again. Remember that yesterday, this day reported that was less than 48 hours after the crisis at the airport. So the air is not safe, the land is not safe, and now the tracks too are not safe. So many people in Kaduna are marooned in there, not really sure whether they should even step out of their homes. Not only there, this is a fear that has spread everywhere. And I think there are many dimensions to this story that we need to continue to examine.
Emmanuel, the other dimension which has been going through my head is the fact that it seems to have been being a perfect plan. They attacked the airport, and then activities there were suspended. Of course, they've been on the road, and then they go for the trains, and they take a ton of people in the trains. How much more effort do we need to put into intelligence in the country?
In fact, beyond intelligence, there is also need for at least even what looks like the proper way. Remember that, and I'm not trying to indict anyone here, but remember that on the day these bandits were at the airport in Kaduna, international airport, everyone was out here deciding on the unity list and the consensus candidate of the APC. And so that's why the PDP keeps saying that, look, the problem is still the problem of leadership, the problem of, the goodwill to do some of this. It's not as if there hasn't been such, security crisis in the past. But that now you have a situation where it is almost like a concerted effort. In the This Day report, you have some of the eyewitnesses saying that it's well coordinated, with some of the bandits saying things like, okay, look, we don't have any time again, security forces will soon be. How did they even know this? It looks like an inside job. It looks like, they have someone out there talking with them. These are the kind of crises that we face with. And somebody spoke about collusion one time. When you hear these stories, when you hear reports like this, like you have it in these papers this morning, you begin to understand that this thing is very coordinated, and that is the nature of the problem itself. The fact that those who are paid to protect us need to practically ask themselves, those deep questions about their relationship with us, and especially security issues. The president, charging his security chiefs yesterday that they should do everything in their power, shoot at sight anybody holding some AK-47. These are the things. This is almost like a broken record, giving this, this charge in the past. So it's well coordinated, as we're saying in these stories, and it's worrisome, and it's something that I think beyond just intelligence gathering, there is need for preemptive measures, some form of, preemptive, or actually thinking ahead of these bandits. But it's gone beyond the mundane or the ordinary day-to-day routine security thing that we used to do. I think there's more that needs to be done now to secure all of us.
Well, let's try to move a little bit away from security. Senegal beat Egypt yesterday, the same as happened in the African Cup of Nations. And then Nigeria, right here in Nigeria, lost to Ghana to go to the World Cup. I don't know how you feel in 1 minute, Emmanuel.
Well, as at yesterday, Nigerians were actually even much more worried about those security concerns and, you know, the crisis they are faced with, other than the, you know, the beating we got from Ghana. And it's very also disheartening with a lot of people commenting that, oh, where will there be even good news? That's not even in sports that we're going to get some good news. Because in the past, when all this is happening, you expect some good news from sports. But even that offered us another, you know, very terrible diet of bad news and bad feeling. The fact that it's humiliating that we were defeated right here, you know, not in a place not too far from where I'm talking now, and we can't get to the World Cup because of that, and it's by Ghana. So this is just a collection, you know, we've been served a bouquet of all sorts of bad news, you know, and yesterday with the defeat, that tops it. If you ask me how I feel terrible.
Yeah, that's a way to leave it there. Femi was actually there, so she probably feel more terrible than you.
That's why I kept quiet. It's a defense mechanism.
I said, is this a joke? But thank you, Emmanuel.